All right, the ACC, number 18 is Virginia. Number 17 is Miami. Number 16 is Georgia Tech. Within this category, we talked about it last week, the ACC kind of like projecting the conference finale. Virginia I talked about they've been begging to lose for that 3 to 4 week stretch where, they played close with California. They played close with Washington State. They played, there's one I was thinking of. And they played close with somebody else right before then or right after then, however their schedule worked. And then now they're going into their bye week. And then after the bye week, they'll get to play Virginia Tech, who will be coming off of a game versus Miami. More likely than not, Virginia will win that football game. More likely. I mean, Virginia Tech's going to be 3-8. It is a rivalry game. Virginia Tech has won 4 out of the last 5 matchups between the two, if you want some historical analysis between those couple teams. And I think they have a tendency to slip, but more than likely, with coming off a bye and having their opponent coming off a ranked game versus Miami, who has a very physical defense on paper, that just seems like an easy victory for Virginia. So more likely than not, unless Georgia Tech slips to Pittsburgh, we're going to see a Georgia Tech Virginia ACC championship. And there are teams that are still in the hunt, like I mentioned. Louisville has 2 losses. They're most likely out, but they can be spoilers for SMU. SMU still only has 1 loss, but they have 2 losses in the Big 12, which is detrimental to college football playoff selection, but not to the conference. So 2 losses in the Big 12. They're only 1 loss in the ACC. They could beat Louisville and then win their final game and be 2nd or 3rd ranked within the conference. But all of that doesn't matter if Virginia wins. And Miami kind of needs a miracle. I think the brand is excelling them over some other ranked teams within their own conference, and their margin of victories are pretty substantial. And they've showcased early in the season that they had the capability to win out of conference as well, which some of these other schools have not done. We'll get to see that with Georgia Tech when they play Georgia at the end of the year. Will that matter towards the ACC championship game? No, it will not. Everything kind of rides for Georgia Tech, for the Yellow Jackets this weekend versus Pittsburgh, who I think has a decent chance to win. Pittsburgh. So anyway, number 18, Virginia, number 17, Miami, and number 16, Georgia Tech. And that's about as categorical as you can get. But in terms of head-to-heads, none of those teams have played one another. That's interesting. However, the teams that are just outside of the script have played Miami. And I think Louisville is somewhere in there between the 2 or 3 of them. But here's how I have it look. So Virginia drops to Virginia Tech. A lot could happen. Miami needs an SMU loss because SMU is 5-1 in the ACC. Pittsburgh is 7-3 going at Georgia Tech, 9-1. Pittsburgh's 5-1 in the ACC, and their losses are to West Virginia, Louisville, and Notre Dame. So 2 out-of-conference losses, 1 to an independent. And then they go at Miami, Florida in Week 14. So they play Georgia Tech this week, and then Miami, Florida next week. So even if they beat Georgia Tech, they still got to beat Miami. So a very tough November for Pittsburgh. My overall analysis, though, SMU, Pittsburgh, Miami, Virginia, and Georgia Tech are all still in the hunt for first and second place in the ACC championship game. So we'll just see how that plays out.